Look at the weather.
It's beautiful here.
Non-stop rain.
Oh, man, it is a blazer out there.
It's cold and it's shivery.
It is cold.
Really coming down here.
I really enjoy your weather reports.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, we're talking weather in a whole new way. From historical events to what's coming up, plus weather news, science, safety, fun facts, and more.
I like where this is going.
This is Weather Weekly. Weather Weekly with Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey.
It is episode number 63, and welcome to the month of April. I am Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey from Wish TV in Indianapolis. Good to be with you here. We're recording on a Tuesday. We're recording Tuesday the 5th. This will be dropping on the 6th. We're back to normal here, that we've lost the threat for severe weather. Got a little active last week, and now we're kind of entering the busy tier of 3 months that is severe weather season in central Indiana, April, May, and June, specifically for tornadoes. So here we go, and we'll keep an eye on that as we kind of gear things up. We kind of need to flip the switch to some warmer temperatures. We've been lacking in that here, especially for the first few days of April, been running well below average. This is kind of the usual beginning of the month podcast, and that is kind of taking a look back at the month of March. We will look ahead to the month of April as well, and some of the significant historical events that have happened in the month of April. And I would be willing to bet that there will be some pretty significant severe weather events that have happened during this month over the years. So we'll talk about that before we get to the break. Just looking ahead, something that I want to kind of look at is now we're kind of entering severe weather season. Some of the outlooks that are coming up and coming. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so this will already be kind of old news, but southern states, the Gulf Coast states, under the gun for severe weather. Again, this will be the third week in a row. They have an enhanced risk for severe weather that basically stretches from eastern Louisiana. It includes southern Mississippi, places like Mobile, Montgomery, and then Columbus, Georgia, Savannah, Tallahassee, Augusta, all in enhanced risk as they're gearing up for Masters Week. Even into South Carolina, they're going to be dealing with some pretty strong thunderstorms, tornado risk, a 10% hatched area for southern Alabama and southern Georgia. Wind also a high concern at a 45%. And again, that's for Tuesday the 5th, so that will be old news by the time you're probably listening to this podcast. For Wednesday, there is an enhanced risk for severe weather for northern Alabama, northern Georgia, western, South and North Carolina, southeastern Tennessee. 5% chance for tornadoes from Alabama to Georgia, northern Florida, South Carolina, and a 30% chance for high winds from Alabama to Georgia. For Wednesday, looks like severe weather threat will be then along the Atlantic seaboard. Slight risk for severe weather in eastern North Carolina. There is a marginal risk for central Florida, and then also for parts of southern Maryland, southern Delaware, and eastern portions of Virginia and North Carolina, where tornadoes and wind will be the primary concern there. So that's the severe weather outlook over the next 3 days. The extended doesn't look awful. In fact, pretty quiet. I believe days 4 through 8, there is too low of a probability for 4, 5, and 6. Day 7, there's a 15% chance. So day 7 would be that would be early next week. And that is centered over Texas, northern Texas, central Oklahoma, and southern Kansas. And that is for Tuesday, April 12th. So we'll watch that. That's not a super high risk, but something that's highlighted here. Again, April, May, that's when you start to get to heightened severe weather season out in the plains and the deep south. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about a recap of the month of March in Indiana, central Indiana specifically, climatologically speaking. And we'll look ahead to some significant historical dates for the month of April. That's coming up next here on Weather Weekly.
Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke? Or maybe a steamy billionaire? You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Episode 63 of Weather Weekly, first one for April. So as we typically do at the beginning of the month, we'll do a quick recap of March and we'll look ahead to the month of April. So from the National Weather Service in Indianapolis, the climate summary for the month of March 2022, 28th warmest on record in Indianapolis, 40th wettest on record in Indy. So that kind of puts you in the top, certainly temperature-wise, top third. Maybe not quite there for wettest, but you're in the top half for sure. Tied for the second least snowiest on record in Indianapolis. So there's quite a few that were tied with that. So, but still, we were well below average in terms of snow. We typically do get at least a little bit of accumulating snow in March. Didn't get a ton, and I don't think there's many people that are probably complaining. Interesting notes here real quick. There wasn't anything real significant to kind of write home about for the month of March, but 11 times. So that's, over a third of the days for the month. We were not just above average, but 10 degrees above average for the month of March, including the 1st, the 2nd, the 5th, the 6th. So you had a few days there early on in the month of March where you were pretty mild. The 15th through the 18th, the 21st through the 23rd, and then the 30th, of course, that was the warmest day of the month. We hit 78 in Indianapolis. That was 4 shy of the record for that date. That was 82. So that still stands, but we made a pretty good run at that. That was on the 30th. The lowest temperature we had in Indy was the 13 degrees posted on the 12th. And again, we were on the plus 3.1 side of temperature. So pretty good temperature-wise for the month of March. Precip-wise, we were just shy of an inch on the plus side. For precip, we were at 4.67. For the entire month, the wettest day was about an inch and 3/4, 1.77. That was on the 7th. We had 3 days in a row of precip. Was the longest stretch, the 3rd through the 5th, the 8th through the 10th, and the 12th through the 14th. So kind of wet. Again, not exceptionally so, but a little bit wet. Severe weather. We did have some nocturnal thunderstorms on consecutive nights. The 6th and the 7th did bring possible microburst in Johnson County, estimated wind gusts of 80 miles per hour. And so there was a little bit of damage from that. What else? I think that's basically it. Did get some pretty gusty days, non-thunderstorm wind gusts. Eagle Creek, 59 mile per hour wind gusts, both on the 6th and the 25th. Indy Airport, a 58 mile per hour wind gust on the 25th. Muncie had a 61 mile per hour wind gust late on the 30th. That was that really warm day. And yeah, so those are kind of the interesting notes for the month of March. So we look ahead to the month of April, which, by the way, let me go back to this page here and just show you, or not show you, this is a podcast, tell you about the averages for the month of March, or I'm sorry, for the month of April, as we gear up for the month. Pardon me. The website's going a little bit slow here. All right, so month of April, we start the month off with an average high of 59 degrees, which we really haven't been too close to for many of the days starting off the month. We wrap up the month on the 30th with an average high of 69 degrees. So it's a pretty significant jump, 10 degrees from the beginning to the end of the month. So it's one of the faster warming months that we will have for the year. So something to look forward to. Should be fairly mild by the end of April. Some other averages for you as we look ahead to the month of April. We do average snowfall in April. 0.2 inches of snow. That is an average. Average precip, 4.34 inches of rainfall. That is good for third wettest. The second wettest would be next month, May, and the wettest will be June. And I apologize, the fourth wettest month, I should say, behind July. July is 4.42. April is 4.34. So fourth wettest up and coming here for the month of April. All right, some interesting dates to know about here. Historically, I thought this one was interesting, an oldie. On the 1st, 1884, from Oakville in Delaware County, that's my old stomping grounds, to Luray in Henry County, a tornado with a path a quarter mile wide and 10 miles long takes the lives of 8 and injures at least 50. In Oakville, all but 5 of the 45 buildings in town are leveled. The cloud is described as funnel-shaped and a greenish color. I don't know much about this. I had to check this out. Oakville. And in growing up in Muncie, I don't know much about Oakville. And it may have been one of those things that now it's just basically a township. And as I'm looking here, so it is on the southern end of Delaware County. So it's right on the county line. They do have... No, it's a populated area here. They have an Oakville Road, but this was a town that was nearly wiped off the map. And then Luray is just off of State Road 3. That's County Road 950 North. So there you go. Learned something. I wasn't as familiar growing up with the south end of Delaware County, but they have one church in town, a couple of grain bins. Just looking at the overhead satellite imagery here. And you've got maybe, a good 30 homes or so in this little town. Very interesting, though. So there you go. That was, again, 1884. On the 2nd, 2006, at Indianapolis, straight line winds damaged several buildings, including a downtown skyscraper. So I have a story about that. And I may have mentioned this earlier on a podcast, but this would have been kind of my first time covering severe weather in the city of Indianapolis. I was not working in television. I was working as a part-time board op at WXNT. That's AM 1430 on the north side of Indianapolis. It's in the same building as WZPL. And I don't know what WNTR, I think, is what it was. Used to be WTPI back in the day. 107.9 is the numbers on the dial. So I was working the overnights, and basically what I did was I did just board operations. I really wasn't on the air. I did do news updates, but they were recorded. We didn't really have a good avenue for getting real-time updates for, generic news during the overnights. I think we partnered with Channel 6. And so if they went live, then we could take them live. But I do remember watching the weather. This was also during Final Four weekend. And so we're watching the storms come in, and this was pre-Lucas Oil Stadium, so they're playing at the Dome. And I believe back then this was referred to as the Bank One Tower. I could be wrong. But it's the Regions Bank building now that we know of downtown, where they used to fire off the fireworks for the 4th of July. And it took some pretty heavy damage, broke a lot of glass. I think there were some injuries from some sustained winds that happened. So we had to go on air, and the morning show host at the time, Abdul Hakim Shabazz, who is frequent on radio stations around the state nowadays. He was like our main guy, and he called me. He's like, "Do you need my help?" I'm like, He's like, "You know what? I'm going to be in." So he came on and helped me with coverage. This was like my first time kind of doing sustained things like that. But he was able to kind of walk through, and I kept him on the air and all that other stuff. So we were getting ready. We were interviewing people from the police department and stuff like that. So it was good that was kind of like my first experience with severe weather there. All right. The third, 1974, is part of one of the largest tornado outbreaks in U.S. history. 21 tornadoes strike Indiana, hitting 39 counties. 8 of the tornadoes are killers, leaving 47 dead and over 800 injured. On the whole, 148 tornadoes touched down in 13 states. And I believe that is the Palm Sunday tornado outbreak. And I believe if you go back early on in this podcast series that Stephen Deanna did a extensive look at some of those. 1977, on the 4th, a small tornado destroys a garage and removes a roof off of a house in Anderson. 1988, on the 6th, intense low pressure produces high winds statewide with peak gusts between 50 to 90 miles per hour. The peak wind gust in Indianapolis is 74, which is hurricane force. In 1998, on the 7th, at Newport, baseball-sized hail falls. In 1980, at Farmland, a tornado destroys a barn and uproots trees. If I remember correctly, also, that April 8th, 1980, I believe Monroe Central High School was damaged from that. I could be wrong, but I believe that could possibly be then. Moving on. And I apologize, the Palm Sunday tornado outbreak was not 1974. That was a different outbreak because the Palm Sunday tornado happened in 1965. Palm Sunday tornado outbreak on the 11th. Deadliest in state history. 10 tornadoes strike in 18 counties in the north and central. 7 of the tornadoes are killer. Between 4:45 p.m. to a little after 6:30 p.m., tornadoes left 137 dead, 1,724 injured. 14th, 2006, severe thunderstorm produced 85-mile-per-hour winds at Indianapolis and 2 tornadoes in Tippecanoe County. On the 16th, 1860, a Terre Haute tornado passes over the southern part of the city and kills a man caught in the destruction of the railroad engine house. 18 others are injured. On the 20th, 2004, tornadoes touched down at Jamestown, Elwood, and Kokomo. So that's in north central Indiana. On the 21st, 1893 at Indianapolis, measurable precipitation falls for the 13th consecutive day, setting a city record for most consecutive days with measurable precipitation. Moving along, 1994, the 26th, around midnight on the 26th to the 27th, a tornado racing 60 miles per hour from northwest of Lafayette into Carroll County produces a 14-mile long track, 100 yards wide, killing 3 people and injuring 70 others. On the 29th, 2018 in Indianapolis, the record low temperature for the date was 30 degrees. And on the 30th, 1984, strong winds blow across much of central Indiana with gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour reported in some locations. So you can see I had no winter weather. I'm looking if I skipped over any. No winter weather or of any significance. So majority of this was severe weather, either wind or tornado related. There was a couple of hail things as well. And you had one cold report and several other wind reports as well. April, very active. And again, one of 3 months that we have upcoming for severe weather season. So again, as we say again, make sure you're prepared and gearing up for severe weather season and have a plan. We will see if we have any severe weather or any warmer days ahead for that matter in the extended outlook. That's coming up next here on Weather Weekly. Here's a look at the forecast for the rest of the week. Boy, I'll tell you what, some ups and downs, and this is going to be kind of a rough one here for those of you that are really, really wanting some of those warm temperatures, at least for the short term. Rain chances are going to continue Wednesday, probably Thursday night as well, and that's going to be a cold front and a trough digging through, and that's going to bring in some very chilly temperatures. How cold? Well, Friday, not only do we have some of these misty rain chances, but maybe some snow mixing in as well. Highs will only make it to the mid-40s. Saturday will also be a little bit of this drizzle, chilly, raw, cloudy day. Highs in the low 40s. Now, the good news is that Sunday, we really jumped the temperatures. We're up to near 60 degrees, partly cloudy on Sunday, and I've got 70s Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the first half of next week in that extended forecast. So there are some warmer days ahead. I don't know if we have got to the point where we're flipping the switch completely, because if you go into that 8 to 14 day outlook, it's kind of on the slight end of above average. But if you look at the national blend of models, which is something we typically look at, by mid-month, the 13th to 14th, you're going to see numbers slightly below average, which normal high for the middle of the month should be into the low and mid 60s. So we may be talking upper 50s and low 60s. So we're not there yet, but there are signs. And that ceiling is getting higher, right, with the temperatures. So those that are wanting that warm weather, it's coming. We just got to be patient. And again, late this week, just not going to be a real fun Friday and Saturday. But the payoff is Sunday and then heading into next week. Thanks for stopping by on this episode of Weather Weekly. Greatly appreciate your time. Good to be kind of back into full swing and back into more of a normal routine here. We'd love to get your feedback. Do you have any questions? You have any weather phenomena that you have a question about, you really just want addressed? Shoot me an email, marcus.bailey@wishtv.com. Also, you can hit me up on social media, Marcus Bailey Weather on Twitter, Marcus Bailey Weather on Facebook and Instagram, at Marcus Bailey on Twitter. You can send me a message there, and I'd love to address any issues that you have. If you have a question weather related, we'd love to do a podcast about that here. While you're here, make sure you check out all the other great podcasts, all part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Have a great week.
Discover more from Storm Track 8 Weather and Wish TV. Online at wishtv.com, and when you follow Wish TV on Facebook. Plus, be sure to check out more great podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.